Making musical lines with a synthetic scale like the diminished scale can be very, very difficult. To me, the approach that works the best is to use the triads that are contained in the scale, so that's what I'm going to go over in this lesson. The diminished scale is of course more of a mathematical construction than actually anything that we can use for a key or something that you would sort of naturally hear. So it's the kind of thing that you add when you want to play something that sounds a little bit funny or a little bit out there. And it's not something that I ever use on, for instance, diminished chords. I always use it on dominance or in other situations when I want some sort of special effect coming out of my note choice. And that's also how I'm going to use it today. So we're going to take this B diminished scale, which is the same as the scale that you would use on a G7. That would be this scale. And then we're going to take that apart a bit and look at some of the triads that are in there and how you can practice them and also how you can make lines with them. So if we look at this B diminished scale, we can notice that actually the G7 is diatonic to the scale, so there is a G7 chord in there. And since the diminished scale is symmetrical, that means that we can also just move stuff around in minor thirds, and then we will still have that. So that means that everything can be transposed around minor thirds and it will also have it. So we have the G7, so we also have a G major triad, and we can move major triads around in minor thirds, and then that means that the G is there, B flat is there, D flat is there, and E is there. So we have 4 major triads, and those are the triads that I use the most. The triad is a really strong melodic construction, so it's a sound that we're very used to, and it's a very strong sound, and it's easy to make logical melodies with a triad. And at the same time, this is of course also a little bit, we're looking for something that sounds surprising, a little bit out there. So if we start using the triads but then connecting them in a little bit funny ways, then we can make something that makes sense and sounds strong but also surprising, and that's what I'm going to go over here. First we just need to look at how we can practice some triad inversions. If I have my G triad here, if we just go over all inversions in this area, since we're playing in this area of the neck, then the G major inversions would be these. And of course you can do the same for the B flat. And we could do the 4 other ones as well, but that's just a matter of transposing them and moving them around. I have a few lessons on using triads in soloing and also about practicing triads, and you can check those out. Triads is such a strong thing to check out that you need to practice it in your scales, but you need to practice it separately as well, and it's always time well spent if you're working on your triads and getting better at playing triads and mixing them up and stuff like that. So now we have the 4 major triads, and we have some inversions, and then we can start trying to put it all together in some lines. So the first example sounds like this. So what's going on here? So I'm starting out on the D minor with some quartal harmony. So this stagger falls from the root and then from the 5th. And then I'm moving on to the G7. I start off with an E major triad in the first inversion. So, and then I'm moving to a B flat major triad in the second inversion. And then resolving that to the C major 7 to the 3rd of C major. The second example sounds like this. So I'm starting off with this sort of stretchy stagger fourth again on the D minor. So actually it's just a stagger fourth, but then played with some string skipping. Maybe this is something I should make a lesson on at some point. And then a small fragment from the D minor pentatonic scale. And then on the G7 I start off with this D flat major triad, and then I move to the B flat second inversion, and then I'm resolving that to the 7th of C major 7. The final example sounds like this. So the D minor line is just sort So I'm starting with the third, going down to the root, and that's kind of encircling the seventh of this F major 7 arpeggio that I'm using. And then running down the scale to the D. And then on the G7, I'm using the D flat triad, and then an E major triad, and then resolving to the 9. So that was 3 examples of how I use the triads of the diminished scale when I'm playing over dominance. I'm probably going to make some more lessons on this subject because I think it's a really cool subject, and it's also something you can do really a lot with. And it's also a nice place to really start working with sort of these triads and making melodies with that, because I think it's also something that you can actually apply to other situations as well, not only the diminished scale, which is also of course why I made so many lessons on triads and how to use it. I hope you can use the stuff that I went over here to make some interesting diminished scale lines over your dominant chords. If you have never seen any of my lessons before, then you can of course subscribe to my channel. I publish a new lesson every Thursday, and I've been doing this for 2 years already, so I have really a lot of lessons on different kinds of things with jazz guitar and improvising chords and scales and arpeggios and all that stuff. So check out my channel, and maybe there's something you find useful there. If you want to download a PDF of the examples that I went over here, then you can go to the article on my website where there's a PDF download of all the examples and the lines. You can also subscribe to my newsletter if you want to stay up to date with what's going on with new lessons in my web store, or if I'm playing somewhere or recording something. If you have any comments or questions or ideas for topics, then leave a comment on the video, give me some feedback. It's always nice to hear what you guys want to hear lessons on, so comment on that is of course very welcome. And another thing is also that I'm thinking about doing a sort of question and answer type video, so if you have any questions and that could fit in a question and answer type video, then that's also a nice thing to just leave on my Facebook page or on the video as a comment. You can of course also connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, as I said. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Google+. So connect with me there if you have any ideas or any comments, and then maybe I can answer some questions, or maybe I can make a video that fits what you want to see a video on. That's it for this week. Thank you for watching, and until next week.